It was famously said of the Battle of Waterloo that it was won on the playing fields of Eton. That was a tribute to the character of men turned out by the English public school. I'm heading back to my own, which, for good or ill, undeniably helped shape mine.
When I used to come back at the beginning of term, I was initially, always a bit homesick. I was leaving my parents, I'm leaving my sister. But then there was also an excitement. I was going to see my friends again. It certainly made you very independent from an early age. Essential attitude was, don't make a fuss about it, get on with it. Which we all did.
This is Ardingly College in West Sussex.
This is it, where I got dropped off from the ages of 8 to 18. Usually with a trunk, huge trunk and a tuck box, and you have to get someone to help you carry it up the stairs.
Ardingly may now look like a conservative institution. But when it was founded in 1858, it embodied educational reform and a progressive mindset. Public schools in the past, like Eton, Harrow and Rugby, had been mainly for the aristocracy. But by the 1850s, aspirational parents from the growing middle classes thought that their boys, if taught the same values, would also measure up. A wave of new schools was founded, where these boys could be taught to be gentlemen. Ardingly's founder, who set up 9 of these schools, was very clear on how to do this.
Now, there he is, the founder, Nathaniel Woodard. A severe-looking man. He wrote a terrific document called A Plea for the Middle Classes, and he lays it all out. It's for gentlemen of small incomes, and by this he includes the sons of clergy, sons of army and navy, sons of solicitors, sons of tradesmen, and the important thing was to get them here. He wrote, the chief thing to be desired is to remove the child from the noxious influence of home.
So, the suggestion was that these bad influences actually included parents, and certainly covered home comforts.
My dormitory was up there. 35 boys, 1 room, no curtains, not much heating. A good view.
You weren't meant to show emotion in front of your fellows. You weren't meant to blub when you said goodbye to your mummy at the railway station. You weren't meant to blub when people hit you very hard with sticks, even though it's a perfectly normal thing to do, to blub. And therefore, it's probably created the most extraordinary psychological types, which we still see living with us in England today.
At public schools across the country in the mid-19th century, masters increasingly strove to mould boys into men who would be a credit to Britannia, whether serving her at home or in the Empire. Training began in the classroom, where the key subject on the curriculum was classics, Greek and Latin.
Aeneas and his men have been wrecked on the shore of Libya, and he's now about to speak to his men.
I'll just join in.
Right.
Talia woci refert, curisque gentibus aeger,
To learn how to govern, boys were introduced to inspiring role models, ancient heroes like the poet Virgil's Aeneas.
Such words he spoke while sick with deep distress. He feigns hope on his face and deep in his heart stifles his pain.
What do you think, what qualities do you think Aeneas is showing as a leader here? What is he trying to do for his men?
He's showing a sense of steadfastness. He can't let out his emotions.
What it also says here, durati, which very modern could be translated as kind of man up.
Yeah.
Putting on a brave face.
And is that a good quality in a leader?
I think it's an essential quality for a leader.
To pretend everything's going fine.
Well, in this situation, yes.
It's almost kind of a prototype for how the English thought, they could act. The young British men out in the colonies, for example, would take on the role of Aeneas.
Outside the classroom, equally essential lessons in conduct were being taught.
Good stuff. Here we go. Play. Good.
Discipline on the sports field.
Hold your run. Good. Off you go, Gunny. Off you go, Gunny. Brilliant. Well played.
And morality in chapel. A popular new idea summed up the spirit of the age, that godliness need not exclude manliness, a combination dubbed muscular Christianity.
Good. Keep it moving, keep it moving.
There was a worry that hearty, virile boys might see Jesus as a bit wet. So, his teaching needed beefing up.
Different class, mate. Well done. Play.
Well, I mean, you can't imagine putting Jesus in charge of a hill station in India or a regiment, because obviously the fellow wouldn't have any discipline. And so muscular Christianity is obviously the exaltation of strength. It's the idea that a decent person keeps order, both over himself and over the world, with a bit of help from the Almighty, but if the Almighty is not interested, an English person can do it on his own.
Everything about schools like Ardingly was designed to work together in a sort of social, almost moral engineering project. The physical education on the playing field, the spiritual education in chapel, a very particular classical education in the classroom, all working together to create a product. The English gentleman, the British officer, the imperial administrator. And in 1864, a royal commission, no less, made it official. It declared that the public school, at best, could be used as an instrument for the training of character, where boys could learn to govern others and to control themselves.
From all sides, Victorian boys absorbed the principle that while emotions may be felt, they should never be shown. Not that this was always easy. These are the letters home from a boy called Charles Herbert Shaw, Charlie, writing to his mother, who he addresses as Dear Ma. The last 3 or 4 days it's been raining. Sunday was very hot. I went out with a master and got some violets and primroses. I send you one of the violets, and he's put it in, you can still see the mark of it. The cricketing season is coming on. There's a new railway which is being built. I have nothing more to say. I remain your affectionate son, Charlie. A year later, that formal attitude has something rather more serious to deal with. Dear Ma, I have a very sad letter to write to you. During the last week, scarlatina, scarlet fever, has broke out. One boy named Moore in schoolhouse dormitory died very suddenly last Wednesday, the 23rd. They say another boy is ill and not expected to live. I suppose you've received the circular which the college has sent. What I want to know is that, am I coming home? He then says, thanks for the flags of all nations. I'm glad you enjoyed yourself when you were at Southport. A week later, he writes again. He hasn't gone home. His parents haven't come and picked him up. He says the fever is still going strong. Between 20 to 30 boys are ill with it. 5 boys are prayed for. Only 28 boys are left. Then having described this sort of rampaging epidemic, he says, I'm sorry, you've got a cold. And then tells his mother, I'm learning algebra. And then he signs off Charlie. And it is the extraordinary jump in tone. You can almost feel the sense of someone learning a process of dealing with their emotions. These things happen. He's been left there to stick it out, because that's what you do. And you do it by restraint. Unlike several of his classmates, 14-year-old Charles Herbert Shaw survived the scarlet fever. He went on to a career in the army, a successful product of the system.